Ladies and gents, let me finish up this tweet. Tweet. Robinhood IPO same day as AMC shareholder annual meeting. This is gonna get filthy. That is Andrew Mo Money on Twitter, and I am Andrew Mo Money on YouTube. What's going on? We got Gerald, we got Black Zeus, we got Francisco Angel Cortez, the YouTube hero Alex. It's a thing, right? It's a thing. Robinhood IPO and the shareholder meeting today. 2-in-1 package. My name is Andrew. That's Professor Meatball. We're going to be here with you. It's the morning bell coming in about 4 minutes. Okay. So Robinhood IPOs today. Let's see if we can get some articles about that. Luckily, we have the same people that have been bashing AMC talking about the Robinhood IPO. Good morning, Krimmer. All right, let's take a look. There it is. A lot of the same CNBC bias is going to be in here. It's going to be about a quick 2 minutes while people show up, and then we're going to ring that bell.
It brings us to another highly anticipated IPO. Robinhood at prices tonight, begins trading tomorrow. Leslie Picker, always following the money for us, as she is here once again. What can we expect, Leslie Picker?
Hey, Scott, we took a look at some of the biggest deals of 2021, and it's clear that bigger isn't always better here, at least when it comes to these deals this year. Now, tomorrow we'll find out if Robinhood, which is expected to raise $2.2 billion at the midpoint of its marketed range, faces a similar fate. Here's the performance since the debuts of the 6 IPOs that raised more than $2 billion through IPOs in the U.S. this year. Now, Didi has performed the worst, thanks largely to that idiosyncratic risk from a Chinese regulatory probe, but Coupang, Bumble, Shoals, Playtika, all down double-digit percentages as well. Now, the Renaissance IPO...
Mark Baptiste, fools in the morning. Thanks for the haircut compliment.
5% this year and lower by 19% from its February highs, although you can see up about 3.5% today, getting a nice boost there. Now, to investors in these deals, potentially others, it may signal that the market is having a harder time digesting bigger deals. It may deter them from buying more IPOs if they're underwater in prior ones. Plus, there's been an enormous supply glut this year thanks to so much equity issuance, the biggest in 16 years. Many of those years actually showed the market shrinking. We'll see if Robinhood can break the 2021 curse that has befallen the multi-billion-dollar deals this year, Scott.
What are we to make of this report, Leslie, which I'm sure you saw as well, that the CEO, Vlad Tenev, is not licensed by FINRA? Investors are just learning this. Does it matter? Is it a big deal or not?
I mean, I think the only thing that would really be material to the stock is if it meant he weren't going to be CEO. It's unclear that that would really happen. The fact that FINRA is looking into his licensing, theoretically, what they could do is say, after this investigation, you know, we believe you should be licensed based on your day-to-day role at this company. It really depends on really how involved he is in providing investment advice and his role within the company. There are certain CEOs of brokerage firms that don't have FINRA licenses, others do. It really just depends on what that CEO does on a day-to-day basis.
That's true, I guess. It really does depend on what the CEO does on a day-to-day basis. What do you do? What kind of job do you have? CEO? That's cool. Tell me about it. Rap about it. AMC goes off and starts a slide. We had a small dip in the pre-market, less than a percentage point, and today is the first time, but definitely not the last time, you guys are going to see a major sell-off this week before markets even decide what is an appropriate open price. We have a 3% sell-off here, 37.86. And I look at a million volume. You can expect that much of this is going to be shorting in the very early of the morning to try and induce some panic hands, some what was it? Fuddy hands, fuddle holders, some Elmer Fuds in the market to be able to bring AMC right back to that critical support at 37.21. Even Meatball's getting agitated. Meatball, you getting real agitated, huh? You got a haircut as well. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, there you are. There you are. Okay, here you are. Come on. Right here. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Perfect. Alright, so we have lots to learn about the Vlad Tenev man that he is. Let's look at Robinhood becoming a central gateway to markets for young and first-time investors. So this is the mentality that they're going to try and have you piece together for Robinhood, that they want you to be able to think of it as, like, you know, a friendly little app for friendly little traders that you know, never get to trade again. They they get disillusioned so hard with Robinhood that they'll never trade ever again. All right, strong early morning bounce off of the VWAP here. Let me see if I can pull up some Lux Algo so that we can take a look at it ourselves. This one. Fuddle Duddle Doom, says Jens Gemmel. Let's go to the moon. Be fuddling fumble fingers. Glitch says deep sleep here changed my name. How's it going? All right, we have about 2% left until we can cross the green again. Alien says good morning. Aw, Tiz McGee, I appreciate that. How's it going? Guten Morgen America, says Sternen-Forscher. Good morning, Abe Mahmood. Fellow apes, let's get this battle for 40. So today is going to be major battles indeed. We have the annual shareholder meeting. If you guys wanted a quick brief about that, that was the video from yesterday. And this morning we're going to be just facing some more of that. Same old, same old. Let's see what we have in the early morning for Lux. Can this be visible? Maybe down here. There we go. So yesterday, strong buy signal closer to the end of the day, but then right before power hour ended, strong sell signal. That's what we're currently in. 3 levels of reversal bands, and we are currently in between the first and the second one. Take a look at that oscillator. It's also an important indicator of whether or not we're going to be able to see a potential reversal. It's down here. Yeah, I would say right now that they're diverged pretty much as far away as they can get. So it might not be clear that this is a reversal yet, but there is not much more bleeding that can be done. Ken Gilbert says, "Where water? Where's the coffee? How do you know? How do you know it's water?" I would love some coffee though. Get Outdoors says, "Let's see some volume today." 355 says, "I set my Lux from your wonderful video about Lux settings." Excellent. Let's see. Haircut looking fresh today, Mr. Mo. Thanks, Sam. Let's cross over the simple moving average to get to what we deserve. Let's get over the 38.51 level of resistance. That one's a hard one. Okay, one sec. Peter Person says, boom, boom. Miles Away says, just bought Lux. Thanks for the tasty discount. Ah, Miles Away? That's exactly what we're here to do. Here to play some strong 20% off of your Lux algo. Chris Santa Paula is back with a shout out to Meatball and Big Ants. Come on, baby. Let's go, says Scott Price. Sup, dog, says Infinite Q. Gloria says, what day would I be live? That's a good question. That's a great question, because I would rather do like a couple of longer live streams, but I know that consistency is always key on YouTube, so maybe I'll have to do a poll. I'm not sure what you guys prefer. Nick Pedro says, I love discount shopping. Oh, Misty says, don't forget your NFT. Misty, I got oh my goodness. I use Coinbase, not Coinbase. BlockFi, which is the one you get $250 of free Bitcoin with. So I actually need to set myself up a wallet here. There's my notebook. Wallet. Okay, that should be a good enough note. What time Robinhood IPO? I believe last time IPOs were a little bit closer to midday. HiveMind, someone can confirm down there. Someone can confirm. Jen the Hermit says, I like the animals in the background. This one's real too. See? Look at him. He's a real dog. What's up, man? Just says Carlos. How are you feeling today? My pup and I missed you yesterday, but hope you're feeling better. Honestly, if I muffle a couple of coughs, that might be throughout the day. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was like health-wise there to do a full stream today. I feel like I should be. It's just sitting in a chair. But it really is also like putting into that mind space. I don't want to get too muddled with my thoughts. Okay, share price at $38, giving company 32 billion valuation. What makes Robinhood's IPO stand out? Everybody's going to be talking about that Robinhood. Robinhood CEO's credentials investigated by regulators. Now that is the best story of the day. Robinhood FINRA scandal. Robinhood IPO FINRA scandal. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at whatever this is talking about here. We have CNN with a potential Robinhood scandal here. Let's take a listen. Robinhood CEO credentials were investigated by regulators.
FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, is looking into the fact that the popular trading app CEO is not licensed by the agency. This comes just ahead of the company's much anticipated public debut. Matt Egan joins me now. Matt, and this is one of the stories that you picked up on right in the beginning, but I think we just need to understand what the issue is here, because my understanding is if you are the CEO of a parent company, and that's what the CEO of Robinhood is, then you don't need to be licensed, regulated by FINRA. So what's the issue here, and what might regulators be asking questions about?
Well, Julia, legal experts have told me that this is a bit
green
of
on
a
the
gray
day.
area.
AMC is going to be green on the day.
The CEO.
There it is. Hold on. We need to put off this Robinhood story for a hot second to be able to take a look at AMC pushing green on the day. Just jumped off. Where is this bounce coming from? I would say the VWAP gave us a slip and then trending up on over the simple moving average, then the next level of 38,850, a level of resistance, then the EMA directly above it. So the fact that we were able to push all the way to 39.30 means rockets in the chat. Oh my goodness. Let's see AMC push up to 40.01. Next opportunity for it to be able to generate a little bit more momentum forward. Let's see. Meatball is synthetic. Cryptolio. Aw, thanks. Thank you so much. Good morning, says Kathy. Hope you're feeling better. Honestly, not super all the way there. But I'm chugging that water. I'm chugging it. All right. So AMC just had the first rip of the day, brought its price action up from down 3% to now broke even. Let's see if this momentum can continue.
The goal is to make sure that these executives get the training, that they demonstrate the competence that they need for these important jobs, and also it lets the public track whether or not there's any violations. Now, Robinhood would argue, to your point, that it's in the clear here because Vlad Tenev is the CEO of the parent company that owns the broker-dealer. But some experts that I talked to in February when we reported on this news, they were alarmed by the fact that Tenev is not registered because he's the public face of the company. And recall how he testified in front of Congress earlier this year during the Reddit and GameStop hearings. There's also one former compliance officer told me that this is a huge story on a scale of 1 to 10. It's a 10. I think the key, though, is going to be how regulators conclude just how involved Vlad Tenev is in the sort of the day-to-day operations of the company. And some of Tenev's previous comments could come back to haunt him. He did that interview on Clubhouse with Elon Musk earlier this year, where he described being really involved in some of the negotiations, the very delicate negotiations with Robinhood's clearinghouse over how much capital the company needed to put up. Now, we don't know how this is going to end as far as this investigation, but clearly, Julia, regulators are looking very closely at Robinhood ahead of this blockbuster IPO.
Yeah, and they do have.
I thought he said I thought he said blockbuster IPO. I thought he meant like this is right before the blockbuster IPO, as you know, the up and coming company Blockbuster.
Of a president that heads up each of these individual business lines, whether it's the clearinghouse operations, whether it's the brokerage too. And I guess that's the other point that they're going to make here. And there is precedent. Does Jack Dorsey have a FINRA?
No, so Jack Dorsey is not registered with FINRA. However, Charles Schwab, CEO, is registered with FINRA, and Webull, which is a rival of Robinhood, their CEO is also licensed with FINRA.
So, SpaghettiOs. That's why we have that's why Vlad Tenev making some headlines right as his company's about to IPO. So if you guys want to be able to use a broker, it is payment for order flow. So if you want to use a free trading tool or a free broker, Webull does have its CEO license, and you get 2 free stocks with the description down below. Let's take a look at one more take. I think Yahoo Finance is pretty unbiased. CNN was like a regular news except with accents. A couple of fancy accents here. Let's look at where this is. Oh, no sound.
We talk about
animation.
Yeah, that was fun. I like the little feather. And as we talk about, what that's going to look like, as we talk about demand from retail traders and what's feeding crypto, et cetera, an article caught my eye this morning on Bloomberg talking about that the roadshow for Robinhood was a little bit different. And for folks who are not familiar, a roadshow is what a company does when it's preparing to go public. They go around, they talk to a lot of bankers to try to gin up interest. Robinhood made its roadshow presentation public. Its whole line is democratizing investing, and I think you can quibble about how pure their motives are with that. But it is an interesting thing that they wanted to make this information available to everyone and try to solicit everyone's interest.
So I would say they're taking a page out of Tesla's earnings calls. I mean, Tesla for a while now has taken questions from the average person watching or listening to the event on YouTube. But this is great. More companies should, in fact, do this because, as you know, we have grown up in a generation where these roadshows are completely shut out to the average investor. You essentially wake up one day on the IPO day and you're really learning about the company for the first time.
Well, I think it really shows how all investor communication is changing. I mean, you look at Netflix's earnings call. For a time, I think Peter Kafka was moderating that. Now they have an analyst from Fidelity moderating that. But it's not the traditional, sort of you get in the queue and you hope they call on you and Sazi asked Amazon about Bitcoin, right? It's more of a moderated conversation and not one that's, necessarily like super tightly controlled PR. Don't ask about that. I mean, I think, okay, maybe around the fringes, it's a little bit less freewheeling, but we've all known analysts who get blackballed from earnings calls. So those questions don't come up anyway. And so when you think about what the future of investor communication is, I think it has to be and is going to be more stuff like this because the world, Reg FD is 20 some odd years old, but we're still seeing the changes that has had for how IR Sazi thinks about their role.
You are right on. The problem is I ask a lot of executives, and I've been doing more so recently, how are you going to evolve how you do business because more retail investors own your stock? They acknowledge it. They acknowledge it just a little bit, but they're not making any changes to their earnings calls. And that is, I think, a big missed opportunity for them and also a big problem.
And one other point I would make is we're talking about, giving better access to information. When it comes to Robinhood and the like, we're not necessarily saying better access to the actual shares, right? I bet that if you are an individual investor, you still have to fight tooth and nail and probably can't get any access to an allotment of shares for the initial public offering. So there's a big difference between having the information and actually being able to buy it.
With them reserving what I think it's 35% of shares for members of the platform, you can get one. Like you might not get your whole fill, but you can get. I suspect I'll be actually fascinated to see how they do this.
If they are reserving it for members of the platform,
I suspect that Robinhood will try to give as many people an allocation as they can, but the aggregate allocation will remain that 35% target. So there's no there probably won't be a retail whale out there who ends up with 1,500 shares of.
So we follow that Coinbase IPO pretty closely too. So one scandal and you're suddenly, a criminal. Vlad, why didn't you get FINRA clearance? Come on, everyone's doing it. Silly Vlad. Okay, let's see. Why short selling is legal in the US. How old is this video? This could be interesting. It's recommended to me in this very first
It's easy
video
to assume that when
doesn't have a so this is what I'm looking at. So this is the IPO, right? Article from Wednesday at 8:44 p.m. So it's a very, very recent article. And then at the bottom it says why short selling does more good than harm for the US economy. No timestamp, so I don't know when this was created.
stocks rise, everyone profits. The investors get more return out of their investment, and companies' prospects improve with higher share prices. However, that's not the case for short sellers, who look for profit by betting against the success of a company or the market.
$34 billion. That's the on-paper losses short sellers have incurred year to date betting against Tesla.
Short sellers gain when someone else loses. It's like if you took out an insurance policy against your neighbor's home and your neighbor's home was destroyed.
Yep.
Short selling has always been seen as a controversial practice. During times of great financial distress, short sellers have often been blamed for causing the drops in the market.
Short selling has always existed. It's been a part of the normal trading process on the exchanges since...
Dave, what's up? Got a question from Meatball. Meatball, question for you. TAL at $5. You think he saw as an uptrend? Thanks, man. You want Meatball? Come on. Give us a little bit of TA. Don't skimp on the TA sauce. We did get a strong buy signal. Wow, that crossover happened essentially as soon as we called that the divergence was reaching its peak. It did taper off and then converged, crossed over, and now we're looking at a potential bullish play for AMC for the rest of the morning. Okay, let's take a look at TAL. TAL gapped all the way up from $6.35 to $7 during the pre-market. Good job catching it at 5. So I think you're 40% up right now. Is there still uptrend left? I would say that this morning's strong sell signal has not reached a reversal zone yet, but if it does continue down to 615, there might be a double bottom. And if that's the case, from $7 down to $6.15, yeah, that's an easy double bottom. You could end up with a bullish pattern there. If it continues pushing into a reversal zone and doesn't reverse, then that's where you are starting to push at maximum profit seeking. Advanced micro devices. So AMD, you guys might have noticed that I put on the screen. I had a friend yesterday that said that he was just going to buy AME, goes down the alphabet with AMC, AMD, AME. What is AME? Amatec. Amatec? Is it up? This is the daily chart? Oh, yeah. 120 to 140. Those aren't. So this is not an investment strategy. That's just silly meme investing here. Taking a look at AMC here, 38.99. Still no stock quite like AMC. Oh yeah, why is it legal? Sorry, some people are still watching that vid. Let's listen to why short selling is legal. And here's Eeyore with S3.
Since exchanges started, we've seen short selling increase recently in a more broader spectrum of names.
Despite the controversy, the practice has stayed in the limelight.
Even as hedge funds took a hit worth $20 billion shorting GameStop just this month, many are sticking with the trade.
The conversation around it these days is there's new participants and there's new folks getting involved here. And, taking advantage of what shorting has allowed investors to do.
So how did short selling become such a common practice in the U.S. market, and what impact does it have on our economy? The process of shorting a stock usually involves 3 players: the short seller, a broker, and the market. Short sellers first identify a stock that they believe will decrease in price over time. Then they borrow these stocks through a broker, selling them directly at the market at their current price. As the price drops, or when the price drops, they buy back the stock at a lower cost to pay back what they borrowed, pocketing the difference between the sell price and the buy price for profit.
If you like something, you buy it. So same thing with a stock. You're going to buy the shares, buy the stocks that you like. If you don't like something, you say, well, that stock's going to underperform. I don't think it's in a good market. I don't think that its management is good. I think it has too much competition. Or I think its stock price is just way too high. Well, the only way to make money off that is to short the stock.
Short selling remains an enticing investment strategy for many reasons. It's one of the few ways that an investor can make money in a declining market, and it also provides a method for investors to hedge their portfolio.
So for example, suppose there are 2 companies in the same industry, and you think one of those companies is going to do even better than its competitor. Now, if you wanted to place a bet on its success, you could buy shares in that company. But if you're worried about the market crashing or that industry struggling, what you could also then do is short its competitor. So that means you're going to profit if your company that you're optimistic about does well, and you're also going to profit if the company you're less optimistic about does poorly, and you're going to benefit based on the difference in their performance.
Short selling is not just done by large hedge funds or other investment entities. Individual retail investors can also participate as long as it's approved by their brokerage. However, experts warn that retail investors should understand the risk.
Dave, thanks for the super. Thanks, man. I got lucky on a few. I'm not sure what kind of stocks those are, Oriental stocks, and now I have more money to place in AMC. This is what the market is all about. Love the casino. Heck yeah, man. The biggest casino that ever existed. AMC battling up for $40 and now just 25 cents away. Let's take a look at the hard knock life that AMC has been living through this past week, and now take a look and wonder at this beautiful rip coming up. AMC 39.82. Rockets in the chat. What's up now? Come on, if we get a rejection here, we might have a saving grace where we were resisted before this morning at 39.42. Otherwise, we're going right back down to the simple moving average, but we did contest the $40 mark, just 19 cents underneath.
I think it's important that if you understand exactly what you're doing and you see a weakness in the market or an opportunity, and you have really weighed out risk management, I absolutely think retail investors should participate in this part of the market.
That's because when shorting stocks, the potential loss can sometimes be unlimited. Tesla short sellers saw about a $38 billion loss solely in 2020, and the GameStop short squeeze of 2021 cost about $91 billion for short sellers betting against the company.
When you buy a stock, all you can do is lose what you put into the trade. So if you bought a stock for $10, you can only lose $10. If you short a stock for $10, your upside is limited by it going to zero. So you can make $10. The problem is if the stock goes up to 100, you're going to lose 90. So you've put $10 into the trade, but you can actually lose $90. So what we say is shorting stock has unlimited losses, limited profits.
Short sellers have a bad reputation, frequently blamed for causing drops in the market. After they were accused once again for a huge sell-off on Wall Street that linked to the crash in 1937, SEC, or the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, stepped in to regulate the shorting market.
Regulations are done by the SEC primarily. We have Reg SHO, Reg SHO it's called, which has a lot of the rules on short selling.
One of the first regulations that the SEC passed was Rule 10A1, better known as the uptick rule. It essentially restricted short selling in a declining market, allowing short sellers to only short stocks during an uptick. The rule was eliminated in 2007 as electronic trading began to take over Wall Street and was replaced by a far less restrictive rule in 2010. Since then, several named investors have suggested reinstating the uptick rule to decrease the volatility in the market.
In the last half hour on Friday, the S&P moved like 100 handle points. That's just, it's not related to economics. Now, if and it's as simple as that. So what does the SEC lose by announcing they're going to go to a 30, 60, 90-day trial period to reinstate the uptick rule to see what effect it has on markets, whether it makes markets more orderly? What do they lose?
On the flip side, however, traders argue that the original rule wasn't as effective as some make it to believe.
In practicality, it wasn't that effective. And you have to understand that there is something going on with people shorting stock. It creates liquidity in the market. So let's say someone wants to buy and there's no sellers. There's no long shareholders willing to sell stock. Well, it's a short seller that is there that creates
$40.17 just got pushed up
because they're willing to sell the stock. So
it's amazing.
If you start limiting short sale executions, you start limiting liquidity in the market.
Despite the controversies surrounding short selling, many investors and experts have come out to defend the practice. Former SEC Chairman Jay Clayton publicly argued against short selling bans, describing it as a necessary practice to facilitate ordinary market trading. Even Warren Buffett has said that financially sound companies can potentially benefit from short sellers.
Short selling is something that can exacerbate other problems in a market, but short selling itself is not, there isn't an economic reason why short selling on its own is bad.
You know, when times are booming and people are promoting stocks left, right, and center, and investors are speculating on margin and often urged to do so, whatever the venue might be, whether it be TV or print or whatever, I would argue that far more financial damage is done to investors by that behavior than any behavior might be by fundamental short sellers, who by and large, in an environment like today, are net purchasers of stocks.
Other countries in Asia and Europe have banned short selling during times of economic uncertainty. Most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic caused countries like Austria, Belgium, France, and Indonesia to temporarily restrict the process. Some studies, however, showed that a ban on short selling actually does more harm to the market than good.
During the financial crisis between 2007 and 2009, regulators actually banned short selling temporarily in response to the large drops in the stock market. Now, was this a good policy or bad policy? Regulators have since expressed that they regretted this policy action.
Short selling plays several important roles in the market, including accurate price discovery and detection of fraud.
If it wasn't for the short sellers, there'd be a lot of long shareholders.
Thank you, Louise. Says, I have been watching your channel for a while, and you and Dr. Meatball are simply awesome. Thank you. You hear that, buddy? You're simply awesome. Come on, come on, come on, come on. He's like, what am I gonna do? Come on. Good boy. So clever. There are still many ways to short. As far as I've heard, says Dougie Doug. Dougie, you might be onto something. Just showed up. What's up, Dragon Van Doherty? Okay, we're almost done with this. Why short selling does more good than harm for the US economy. I think this video was originally called Why is Short Selling Legal at All?
Buying and bidding up a stock that had really no value. So shorts provide price discovery. They're sitting there and they're going through their reports and they're visiting companies and they're saying, wow, you're telling me that you're doing this in sales. I don't see it. I think I got to short this company because something looks a little fishy here.
People don't get upset when they're making money on the upside. They look the other way on bad corporate behavior. The short sellers, the journalists, the naysayers will be pointing out that a guy's doing this, he's doing that. He's obviously lying, and people will shrug and go, so what? The stock's going up. But when people start losing money, boy, do they get upset.
When people start losing money, boy, did they get upset. Okay. Actually, there's technically 1 minute left on the video, but everything investors need to know about Robinhood's IPO. Seth Ide says, I think Jay Clayton was behind the fake Gary Gensler SEC commentary Twitter account. That's my tinfoil thoughts. Love you, Andrew. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm gonna have to make a video that's like okay. Wowee. Is this, have I, this is the 2 minute video. Okay, that's not very helpful. Mattel CEO, GDP data will shine a light on US recovery. Oh, these are ads. I'm just like, huh? Okay, let me see if I can do one more scene. One more little introduction into what we're expecting for the weekend. Sorry, for the IPO day today. Seth Hyde says, P.S. Thanks for Taking us from no money to mo money, Andrew. My kid's going to college now. Aw, that's so nice to hear. Thank you, Seth. Okay, well, that's going on the Twitter. So as a reminder, let me put Seth on the Twitter. It's Andrew Mo Money on Twitter and Instagram. Go ahead and follow me. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. This is why the moon Platoon best in the galaxy. Hashtag AMC, hashtag meet the apes. Trying to get my own hashtag trending here, so give me a hand. Okay, off of that. Okay, what happened? What is going on with AMD? Why is Kramer talking about it? Let's take a look. Why do investors need advanced, what is it called, medical devices?
If you ever read my mentions column on Twitter, and be careful if you don't like scatological phrases, there are always some funny guys 25 hours a day telling you to short anything I recommend. Sell. I hope they're just joking, because I'm about to show you today would have been an awful strategy to embrace. Case in point, advanced micro devices. Let me tell you a story. See, until 5 years ago, when the stock was at $5, I despised the living daylights out of AMD. I remember from the era of the late great Andy Grove, who ran Intel when it was just a lean, mean fighting machine, maybe one of the greatest manufacturers on earth. Oh, Grove could have wiped out AMD without a heartbeat. But I always figured he had to let them survive because they were the only meaningful competitor left. So letting them go under would have caused Intel a real headache with the Justice Department. In short, AMD was kept alive by Intel itself. Then 5 years ago, I met Dr. Lisa Su, the new CEO. I told her that I'd been an Intel hog, but given the company's recent mismanagement, I was in recovery. Still, I insisted there was no way I could get behind AMD. No way. For the next hour and a half, she took me to school, and not gently, explaining the roadmap she created to erase Intel's dominance by out-engineering the once great semiconductor giant. She is an engineer. I left that meeting with a sense that I not only had to abstain from Intel, but I had to belly up to the bar and make mine an AMD. Subsequently, I spoke to people in the semiconductor industry, and you know what? Our story checked out. I created a slew of potential customers, many of them once Intel butchers, and they were busy sampling and liking AMD's new chips, in part because Intel dropped the ball and gave them an opening. And that's when I started pounding the table on AMD. That's when it happened. That's when I embraced it. Since then, the stock's run from $5 to just under 98. That's a remarkable performance. One of the world's best. One that would wipe out any of these joker short sellers or pretend short sellers. While Intel, what did it do? It meandered from 36 to 53. Intel now is a new CEO. He's done his best to sow seeds of doubt about AMD. But this morning's quarter shows that I made the right call when I decided to go from Intel-aholic to AMD addict. Advanced micro devices is now several years ahead of what Intel's offering. Don't believe otherwise. And everything from personal computers to high-performance computers. And don't even get me started on graphics chips, where Intel is a non-entity. And only the vaulted NVIDIA is competition. Lately, AMD stock has been held down because the company's trying to acquire Xilinx, another semiconductor company, get more Internet of Things and telco exposure. The deal's been delayed by the regulators, particularly in China, but sooner or later, it's going to get approved.
So he's reading from a script because I'm just like, who talks like this? Mostly China. But if you guys are wondering, you are not dyslexic. AMD is what Jim Cramer is talking about, not AMC. And he doesn't want to support AMC, but he definitely is okay with AMD. Crazy country. Parasite, ... Very rich parasite. Let's see. Thanks, Shining Fox. Guys with the compliments here. Hey, what's with the compliments here? Alright, he's built like a bag of milk. Get me a man with a bag of milk. Okay, here it is. Jim Cramer takes aim at Jimmy Chill contrarians. They call him Jimmy Chill, but why when he's a shill, not a chill? Does someone know what's going on here? Okay, so anyway, he's saying that people who short the stocks that he likes and buys the stock that he shorts are dumb. Let's find out why. But let's skip this intro because it's very loud. Hey Drew, how to display the crossover on my Lux? Here's how you do it. So you go over to your Lux algorithm. This is TAL. Where's that buy signal on AMC? Still strong. Strong buy. You go to the oscillator, you go to the settings. Where is the settings? Oh, here it is. And then you go to type, confirmation, okay? Not Lux. Type confirmation. See how the settings came out? Type confirmation. Then you're good. Then you got it. Good job. That was all you. Bag of milk, is that a Canadian thing? I have heard about Canadian. No. Canadian milk.
America. I've been with my friends. I'm just trying to make some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to teach.
Maybe he likes AMD because that's all the letters in MAD. And so that's how he gets angry. AMD, and then you take the A in front of the M, then you have MAD. Pretty good. Chill is code for shill. Oh, okay. So he'll put chill contrarian. So this is CNBC using the actual derogatory term Jimmy Chill to talk about Jim Cramer. Perfect.
Each put in context, and we need that. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. Everybody has an opinion on short sellers. Some view it as a sin. They don't want anyone betting against their favorite stocks, or they try to destroy the shorts when the shorts get too arrogant. Others see short sellers as bold contrarians, making their names by profiting from going against older, more seasoned investors. But as someone who's been at this for 40 years, I can tell you both of these frameworks are way too personal. You can't take investing personally. You got to take a page from Michael Corleone and realize that something's strictly business. That goes double on a day like today where the Dow dipped 120.
Yeah, I don't think he had rights to say that. You gotta be like Michael Corleone. Not a gif or anything, just a picture of him.
8 points. S&P slipped 0.02%, but the NASDAQ jumped 0.70%. If you ever read my mentions column on Twitter, and be careful if you don't like scatological phrases, there are always some funny guys 25 hours a day telling you to short anything I recommend. Sell.
Oh, okay. This is the same clip from earlier.
I'm about to show you today would have been an all.
I was like, did he say the exact same line, but then said it again? This is just a longer version of the clip that we saw earlier, but that clip was only like 4 minutes long, which means we have 3 minutes of extra content down here somewhere.
Boy, I think this Google Cloud's about to explode. Best of all, Alphabet is some of the smartest people on earth. We're constantly improving this cash machine. If you listen to the conference call, and I suggest you do, you're gonna hear. I think they're trying to restrain their glee the way it used to be at Netflix. Now, one of my legion of detractors, Jimmy Chill's favorite Alphabet, has been a terrible short. It scorched Facebook, by the way, which reported tonight. Although I have to tell you, I think the latter did its best to hold down expectations. That's a perennial thing. People fall for it all the time. All right, what about a truly hated stock like Boeing? Sell. Now, you might have thought shorting a company that's supposed to lose a lot of money would be like shooting fish in a barrel. Machine gunning them.
Why doesn't he have a DJ? You know how some shows have two people? This guy could really use a second person.
But instead, Boeing crushed it. I was thinking they could only shake off if only they could shake off the 737 MAX woes, maybe the 787 tribulations, after they've done a gigantic equity offering, maybe $25 billion, gotten through 2 years of suffering, it might be interesting. No! After this quarter, I still expect an equity offering, but it should come in at a much higher level. Some say 300, because no matter how much the Chinese government may despise us, they need lots of commercial aircraft. And boy, do they despise us, and do they need aircraft? And there are only two companies in the world that make aircraft at scale. China can't buy them all from Airbus. Boeing feels real good to me after today's spectacular report and my talk with CEO David Calhoun. Now, look, I know that Delta variant can slow the economy. It's a given that it'll all put pressure on sales for all sorts of things. We have far too many people who refuse to get vaccinated. More on that later. Although maybe they'll get religion on vaccines now that COVID cases are exploding in Texas, 10,000. Not since February have we seen that. Meanwhile, it's obvious that the Chinese government has decided it wants to be a communist regime in more than name only. I often wonder if the Biden administration understands that an unrepentant, belligerent China still relies on the rest of the world for its funding. They need access to our stock markets, and their economy is fueled by countries like ours buying their exports. We are addicted to their cheap stuff, and they know it. You can't even get those big container ships out of Haiphong Harbor. It's too shallow. Apple and Starbucks, though, had exceptional Chinese sales. But some big plane orders with Boeing would be a lot more helpful if they want to extend an olive branch and continue to sell hundreds of $billions of merchandise to the United States of America.
Okay. That was fun. I think I had a lot of fun. That was like coffee to my ears. So that's Jim Cramer taking some shots at people calling him Jimmy Chill, which is always a good time. Let's take a look at whether or not... so I had a Ortex and option Sonar. Data dive. Whoa, Ortex short interest rising. Ortex short interest has risen 3%. Okay, that's substantial. Especially since each of these past few days has been sub% in either direction. That brings us up to a near 80 million short interest for AMC. I think exchange just got updated this week. Should have been. This is the options chain for today. And this is what it was yesterday. More in the money calls at $10 strike, 19 and 20. That's about $3.5 million worth of puts. Worth of calls, super deep in the money right now for AMC. So that's currently what we're waiting for. Is that the calls are starting to have it. Not a ton of them, but they are starting to learn. Does Jim need a meatball? Or is he a meatball? Mika is like, whoa, dude, you look tired, which is why I didn't stream yesterday. I would have been absolutely dead. Still feeling not super hot. Papi Olindo, I feel like I lost some brain cells. Mad Money with Andrew Money and his sidekick, Jim Cramer. And Jim sits on the couch and I throw things at him. And I say, no, Jim. No. And that's the catchphrase. No, Jim, no. Oh my god, the flea market. Look, Joji, I do want to check out the flea market. I really do. It's just that when I write a page of notes for myself, I flip to the next page, I forget what I wrote. Is that what I drew here? Yes, I drew it in Sharpie, which is maybe why my brain ignored it. Okay. Your best George Takei reference. Oh my. I don't understand how people like that get a television spot. His voice is annoying and he really doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like a perfect storm. If you don't know anything you're talking about and then you have a very annoying voice, it somehow crosses you over to being incredibly friendly for television. The more negative you are in both of those axes. Thank you, Poppy. I appreciate that. Bodhisattva Stephen Shonen Payne says, I say time for a class action lawsuit to force the SEC to make the hedge funds cover these FTDs. You know, that's funny because we did have something similar to that like a week and a half ago. Man, oh man. Okay, crossing over from red to green. I was supposed to do martial arts in my spare time. Misty, you're so right. What happened? What happened to the plan? It's a member of Duran Duran. You guys know what I'm talking about. What happened to the plan? Okay, so this is the end of the last minute of that Robinhood IPO roadshow.
Robinhood if they requested that many, but everyone gets one, so that because you can do the math two different ways.
And while we're giving them a pat on the back for how they did the roadshow, that webcast, they were asked the question on PFOF, or payment for order flow. That's 81% of their revenues in the first quarter. They acknowledge that if PFOF gets banned, it will impact the business, but they have no alternative. And if they do, they haven't shared it with the investors that might be buying their stock.
I don't see it getting banned. I mean, right? If anything, the whole conversation around Robinhood clarified what payment for order flow is, what it's not, and I don't know.
Well, the market will decide, right?
Movement,
I mean, we talked to the head of a competing platform, Public, which instead of having payment for order flow, they solicit tips from their users. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they're not revealing yet how many tips they're collecting, but so the market is kind of figuring it out here.
Who has Public? Who is voluntarily giving money away in a commission-free trading economy? You have to really understand payment for order flow, and then understand that in order for payment for order flow to be defeated, you have to voluntarily pay for a commission-free but tip strongly recommended system.
What's going to be the winning model?
And one day maybe they'll decide they want to get paid for order flow.
Maybe they will.
You go home and you say that money is still green, and everyone. I mean, I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't see the scandal in a retail investor getting scalped for a half penny on their shares. It's free. It's an amazing subsidy. It's an amazing service. Incredible. I could go buy Apple right now, pretty much at the market price, with no commission on a number of platforms because of what's happened. And so Citadel takes a quarter of a penny.
We'll talk about your allotment when it comes out with the.
Have at it.
Okay, so that is PFAF. Is Pilaf. Andrew says T. Selfer, do you have any thoughts on the GME Bloomberg terminal data that came out recently? This puts originating from some Brazilian companies unsettling to me. Not sure what to make of it. Honestly, if you think about the volume in a larger sense, just like zoom out a tiny bit, you'll understand that having the options chain play a major factor of coerced buying is very relatively new. Or coerced buying or selling. It's very relatively new because of documentation on potential gamma squeezes hasn't been a major thing since beginning of this year, right? Until the very beginning of this year. So I wouldn't put too much stake into that kind of news report, right? It's abnormal, but it's not like once in a lifetime. Okay, can I get another Robinhood FINRA? Robinhood under investigation for FINRA registration violation. Key regulatory probes on the eve of its Blockbuster IPO. People keep saying Blockbuster IPO. When's Blockbuster gonna IPO? Come on. FINRA orders record financial penalties against Robinhood. So remember that? That was a month ago. FINRA and Robinhood are not good friends. FINRA and Robinhood are not good friends. And since FINRA is really an extended arm of the government, that means the government and Robinhood are not good friends. So here is Robinhood's biggest fine by CNN Business. Watch lawmakers grill Robinhood CEO. That's one of the best. We also streamed this live back in the day.
Isn't it true that being concerned about having enough capital to meet deposit requirements, isn't that a liquidity problem? Or could you just answer yes or no?
Chairwoman Waters, I appreciate the opportunity to address that.
Just yes or no?
Yes or no, please.
We always felt comfortable with our liquidity and the additional capital that Robinhood raised.
Please answer yes or no.
We always felt
to get through my 5 minutes, I don't have time. I just need a yes or no answer.
I stand by my statement. The additional capital we raised wasn't to meet capital requirements or deposit requirements.
Gentleman,
excuse me.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Do you think you owe your customers more disclosure and transparency than you gave them? And second, do you believe your lack of candor with your customers might have contributed to the wild speculation?
This is a good one too. Guys, reminder, I haven't talked about it at all this video, but if you wouldn't mind heading down to the like button and slamming it, let's try to get the math to make sense. At least 2,000 of you are in here. It does help out the show, and it's on a special deal right now. It's $0. It's entirely free. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Confusion that resulted in the aftermath of your trading restrictions.
Congresswoman, I appreciate the question. So to answer the second question, look, I'm sorry for what happened. I apologize, and I'm not going to say that Robinhood did everything perfect and that we haven't made mistakes in the past. But what I commit to is making sure that we improve from this, we learn from it, and we don't make the same mistakes in the future.
First of all, is that $35 billion, is that gross or net? In other words, is that actual profit, or does it include margin shares, other forms of leverage that may actually not belong to the account holder?
It does include, Congressman, unrealized gains. So it's the value of assets, both including positions in securities and cryptocurrencies.
Okay, I get that. I get that. But again, $35 billion doesn't mean anything to me unless you can convert that into a rate of return. So do that for me. What is that on what asset under management number is that $35 billion unrealized against?
The asset under management number is not one that Robinhood has publicly shared.
Okay, but you can't share $35 billion. Sorry, Mr. Teneb, I just don't have a lot of time. $35 billion is a meaningless number. I need to know what that is in terms of return. So convert that for me into rate of return, so I can compare it to Treasury, so I can compare it to the S&P 500.
Congressman, with respect, I think the proper comparison is to customers not investing at all. Much of our customers are investing for the first time and are taking money that they otherwise would have spent or consumed and putting it in.
Mr. Teneb, again, I don't want to be rude, but
it's really funny that, like, you know, that's not a bad defense, but the fact that he doesn't want to answer any questions is telling. He could have been like, the rate of return is 2%, but or something, right? The rate of return is negative 40% because no one knows how to trade on Robinhood. When they go on the Robinhood, they don't have any of the technical indicators. They don't have any of the like tools that other brokers have, and they expect that you get all these crazy margin accounts and pre-approval for spending money that's not yours. Because at the end of the day, you can really lose a ton of money, especially if you're trading with money that's not yours. This is a fun video, honestly. Okay, Robinhood. Regulatory probes. I can't believe it. It's kind of interesting. So this is what The Verge is trying to say. Robinhood's IPO plays with fire. Okay. This guy hates answering questions. Professors hate him because he doesn't answer a single question. Robinhood markets ring the opening bell in celebration of its IPO. I feel like there's gonna be a disaster. Unmitigated disaster. Okay. Stocks rally as GDP falls short. Robinhood IPO on tap. Okay. Is this video about
Move on any.
Robinhood? It's about Jerome Powell, that's it. Ah, Robinhood. So IPO day is a day that it's essentially like you can lose a lot of your money day. So unless you really know how to dig into like which way Robinhood is going, you probably should do more research or consider consider other avenues maybe. Can't give you financial advice, of course. You guys do whatever you want. Do whatever you feel like. A million puts apes found yesterday have magically disappeared again. Who would have thought that was possible? Hashtag running scared. Thanks, Peter Smith. That $40 level, though, it is not a joke. Total filibuster. Yeah, that guy should run for Senate. He's pretty fast. US GDP increased at 6.5% pace in the second quarter, well below expectations. And remember, this is below expectations, and it's gonna get worse. What can you do? Okay, let's get some data. So how bad is it? Weekly initial claims falls to 400.
Here with breaking news, big time breaking news. Initial jobless claims for the current week, 400,000, right on the nose. It is not a new post-COVID low, but of course it does follow sequentially.
Average Rob, what's going on? Get rid of this. Late to the feed today. Hope you're having an amazing day. Chart is a waiting game to break out. Hedgie's just shaking the tree to see what falls. Andrew just poofed his lucky pompadour.
19,000, so it is
Thanks for the
bit
super.
lower, but the low water mark, which is what we want, is 368,000 twice. If we look at continuing claims, very similar, 3,269,000. Our last look, 3,236,000 was the post-COVID low, so this is a bit higher until revisions come in. All right, the money ball, our first look. It's second quarter GDP, and I don't see any of the numbers out yet. None of the numbers are out yet. There was it is slowly trickling in, up 6.5%, up 6.5%. This is a huge disappointment. We're looking for a number that would be closer to 8.5%. So I see 6.5%. Sequentially, that's following 6.4% for the last quarter.
It's getting
We're
worse.
looking for a number over 8.2, which would have been a 38-year high. I don't see consumption or price of personal consumption expenditures yet, and I do apologize. Sometimes these aren't fast. I do pick them off the wires, but I do see revisions trickling in. Initial claims move from 419,000 to 424,000. So now we're down 24,000, still not a cycle low. And last month on continuing claims, it was modified from 3.236 to 3.262 million. Still don't see the rest of those GDP numbers, gang. So I will kick it back to Morgan and Joe and the gang until we see anything else cropping up. But at this point, quarter over quarter at 6.5, a big miss.
All right. Well, we're going to start there. We'll come back to you as you get more of that data. Rick Santelli. Steve Leisman is going to join us now with more. Steve, big miss, 6.5% for this first read for Q2 GDP. I mean, I'll tell you, as somebody who's been traveling around the country for the better part of the last couple weeks, it's incredible to me how many places have been closed or limiting their hours or their service just because they don't have enough workers. Do you think that's something that's factoring in here?
I think that's a factor for sure. For example, structures fell a goodly amount, but I want to make a point that this is a bigger miss than even the actual number. We had in our rapid update number for this quarter, we had 9.2. Now that came down yesterday because of the trade number. But even earlier this quarter, I believe at the beginning of the quarter, I think the hopes and dreams and the forecasts of Wall Street was closer to 10%. So we're approaching half of what people thought. Now, I want to just point out two areas where that has shown up. One thing is inventories.
Meridian says, man, hungry this morning. Anyone in the mood for a bacon, egg, and hedgie?
Have been down quite a bit. And the reason, and you also have a big subtraction from imports as well. So what's going on right now is there's a certain restocking going on, and there's going to be more to come. So that's something that's going to be pushed out into future quarters. We did get a disappointment on the investment side. That's a big story right there. Fixed investment was disappointing with the structures down as well. Let me just find the data here real quick. Consumption was okay, pretty good, up 12%. That's a big number. But also the other thing, Morgan, that I think you're probably hearing when you go around the country is the inflation side of the story. The PCE number I had there at 3.7, I believe. I'll go back to find it, but that's one of the big stories there. The PCE price index was 3.7. The GDP deflator 4%. So that's taking away quite a bit. You can add that back to get your nominal number. So the two things you mentioned, the idea that people aren't back to work the way they were, the way they need to be to have really strong growth, that's one factor. Inflation taking off on the other side. Morgan?
Okay, we're going to dig into that more in just a second, but I think Rick Santelli has more data for us. Rick.
Yes, it has trickled in. Listen, Steve's right on consumption. I see personal consumption at 11.8. Now, that is hot, hot, hot. And if we look at the price indexes, just like everything else, also hot, hot, hot. On the GDP price index on the surface, it's 6.0, up 6%. That's about 0.5% more than we were expecting, well above 4.3 in the rearview mirror. Personal consumption expenditure on the core, quarter over quarter, one that the Fed likes to pay attention to, up 6.1. That is followed, if you look the previous month, it was up 2.7 on the last quarter. And by the way, the last quarter actually lost a tenth from 6.4 to 6.3. So on the quarter to quarter stuff, definitely a miss. When you look at the internals, there's some real horsepower there.
Some real horsepower. Okay, thank you. Some data here too.
All right, now let's get to
No. Ojilo says, I thought I finished my yard work clipping hedgies, but looks like my work isn't finished yet. You guys are corny. Y'all are corny, real talk. Okay, I actually do have an old school Robinhood thumbnail for today. Robinhood IPO disaster. Okay. Oh, here, look. Here's Jim's take 40 minutes ago on the IPO. Robinhood founders big payday to come, 8-year
Robinhood founders Vlad Tenev and Baiju Bhatt will each be worth between $2.5 to $3 billion once those shares start trading, if they trade in that range. But the real payoff for them will come in the next few years. The Robinhood board in May approved a special compensation package for both founders that gives them millions of shares if the stock reaches certain levels. Over the next 8 years, the plan would give 34-year-old Tenev shares of restricted stock worth a potential $4.7 billion. Bhatt would receive shares worth about $2.8 billion. Now, in an SEC filing, the company said those awards are aimed at incentivizing the founders to grow our share price and were based on executives at comparable companies and the co-founders' past and expected future contributions. Now, to receive all the shares, the stock price needs to hit $300 over that period, but they start kicking in at $120 a share. If the shares hit their target of $300, Tenev's total net worth would be more than $25 billion. So, Andrew, an inspiring ultimate American dream story for these guys. Tenev's family emigrating from Bulgaria.
There it is. We got it. These was a young boy from Bulgaria. Otherwise, we have no idea who he is. Where is he from? Was he a young boy at one point? When he was a young boy, where was he? These are all the questions that you would never get to answer. And now we have. Oh, E-Trade CEO has some thoughts about very bold IPO from Robinhood side. Okay, let me just add the tiniest little magnet here. All right, smallest little magnet you ever see. All right, just a baby magnet. Tiny magnet. There it is. All right, let's look at the E-Trade CEO talking about Robinhood IPO today. You might have noticed that today's less Andrew talky. It's because I'm not feeling too great. Not feeling too great, so talking is not fun. But I can react to videos with you guys. Keeps my mind off it. I want to take a couple more.
Carl, thank you so much for being.
Couple more painkillers. I think maybe just one more. I'll be right back.
Here, I guess maybe the takeaway from me is that free trading is worth a lot of money.
So it would seem. Look, they're a bold and ambitious company. I think they've done amazing things for the retail trader, both just in terms of access, availability, an excellent app that's easy to use, great UI, UX. They've always been bold and ambitious, and they continue to show that through their IPO and the allocation processes you just mentioned, right? Very unusual to have that heavy a load going to the retail investor, and also allowing, employees to sell a certain number of shares, a certain percentage now and a certain percentage a little bit down the road. Very unusual not to be locked up. So it's a very bold IPO.
So you mentioned, Carl, the user interface and the user experience, the UI UX of this particular company here. It's also not come without controversy. There's been allegations of a gamification of investing, this idea that it's become like an online casino. How does Robinhood kind of get beyond that and that kind of image, I guess, with a lot of investors out there, that there's only a certain type of folk out there that are customers of a company like Robinhood?
So I think that's exactly right, Don. One of the dangerous things here is obviously gamification. And I think it gets back to, how do you educate the new retail customer about the risks of trading, right? How do you get away from that, confetti approach to, yay, you just made your first trade, to this is how this trade fits into your overall financial picture, right? Do you have a savings account? Do you have money socked away for that rainy day or that unexpected expense that's going to come down the road? If you are trading your dollars and those are the only dollars you have to understand you could lose all of that as well. Right. So, yes, gamification, I think, is, it tends to be an issue when you talk about that just for the first time trader. I think gamification can be a powerful tool if you're using it to educate the retail trader and giving them a chance to understand what they're doing before they jump into the pool with both feet.
So Carl, there's also been some anecdotal and even fairly significant evidence to suggest that a lot of the growth in Robinhood over the course of the last, call it 18 months or so, was driven around stimulus check timing. We've seen accounts funded around those times that stimulus checks went out. How exactly then does Robinhood kind of go into this?
Yeah, this guy kind of has my hair. He's kind of like a bulky Asian news reporter, which is kind of, I don't think I've seen too many of those.
This online brokerage world without possibly having some of those stimulus checks in play anymore. Do you think that it's just because of that assistance that many of those accounts were open in the first place over the last year?
So I think the global pandemic and the stimulus checks that were issued, and also just the cash that was sitting on the sidelines, right? As people didn't go out to restaurants, people didn't otherwise spend money on, on goods or services that they would.
Thank you, Josh.
Locked down, right? Trading became that outreach, that the ability to go out and do something in the marketplace for yourself. So I do think that had a large impact. One of the great stories here for Robinhood is,
I think I misspoke. I'm talking about acetaminophen, some Tylenol, just some flu medicine. All right.
According to filings and what they've been saying, over 20 million customers have opened accounts on their platform. That's a huge customer base, but the account sizes are very small. Can they continue to drive that growth? But the bigger question for me is, if you have these 20 million customers on your platform, can you continue to monetize that in the right way? Can you provide those individuals with additional financial services that can really help them over time? So that's the key to me, is can they unlock the value, and can they provide the services for these customers that they've brought in to keep them investing as the stimulus checks dry up, and as the heat around the meme stocks and all of the the advertising and whatnot goes away. How do you continue to drive that customer base forward and provide them with more value?
So you bring up an excellent point here, and it gets to my next question, Carl. For many brokerages, the real value, at least a large chunk of the value for these companies in the past, and even presently right now, is the company Rolodex. Your former company, E-Trade, was purchased by Morgan Stanley. For a large reason behind that was to get access to those customers, right? Because you want to keep those in the ecosystem. You want to kind of cross-sell those products to other people. What exactly then does Robinhood have to do to grow that $32 billion market value into, say, 64, if those customer accounts right now are not quite as large and not quite as valuable?
That's true. Robinhood, who's making this point? Russ L. Yeah. Robinhood's IPO is going to be the same price that AMC's stock is right now, so that therefore they are admitting that AMC's value is what to the world they're bringing is right up there. Meridian Sun says, I don't know if I bought enough, not sure if I want to rock it yet, but if we do, I'll settle for not quite filthy stinking rich. Aw.
How do they become more valuable? How much more in terms of services do they have to consume before they become that much more richer in terms of customer value?
Well, absolutely the key, right? It is gaining additional share of wallet from those consumers and customers. And the big question mark, if you go back to what we just spoke about, how do you know that those individual customers are going to continue to spend on the platform, going to continue to invest? They have to broaden their service offering to cover more. Right, there are questions around business model. There are questions around what happens with payment for order flow. Right, so how do you provide those other financial services and those other tools that help individuals deal with their finances on a regular basis from day to day? So a savings account, a checking account, right? Teach them about different ways to start to diversify, get into investing, offer additional asset classes, offer some professional advice down the road. It's the building block that they have. They've been such an amazing customer acquisition tool. The way that they've been able to drive eyes to their platform has been absolutely stunning, right? But now the key is unlock that additional value and show the consumer that you're more than just a click and a trade, but you can actually help them manage their finances go forward. That to me is the key. I mean, if you look at what Schwab has done over the years, the way that they've built out their platform.
This guy's really trying to earn some brownie points. So that's the E-Trade CEO says that the Robinhood
Carl, thank you so much for
IPO
being
is
here. I guess maybe...
Carl says that the Robinhood IPO is very bold. I mean, what does that mean? What could that mean? Okay, I think we're almost done. with the Robinhood IPO stuff. Yeah, a lot of different earnings call is getting the treatment right now. Ford beats revenue a little light of expectations. Qualcomm beats auto chip is up 83% year over year. Facebook beats but stock drops on guidance. Visa PayPal shares slip amid earnings reports. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Visa delivered strong earnings yesterday, but shares are slipping on a lack of full-year guidance, down 1.5% or so. And meanwhile, PayPal is also losing some steam ahead of its results tonight. Let's bring in Lisa Ellis. She's a partner and senior equity analyst at Moffett.
That's barely anything.
Lisa, it's great to have you. I mean, regardless of what the specific trends are and expectations and this and that, PayPal has completely dominated the fintech space. I guess my main question to you is, as it's starting to change some rules and fees and disclosures with Venmo and all the rest
Boom
of
over that VWAP. Let's see the clean break.
That they're going to start alienating users or create.
Let's see that clean break over this volumetric weighted average price.
What are you most focused on here?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and the dominance is hard to overstate. Out of about $1 trillion in online retail and travel and entertainment spending, a third of that flows through PayPal's checkout button now, up from about 20% 3 or 4 years ago. It's really extraordinary how dominant they are in the U.S., and as a result are feeling confident in doing.
Lux is a strong sell signal, but it looks like it might be crossing over soon. Back to buy.
You just worry about a level of saturation, of course, when you're over a third of checkout, but also Apple Pay and Google Pay. In their own environments, so within the Apple, the iOS and on the iPhone, as well as Safari or Google within their environment, do have a pretty high share now of of acceptance, at least availability of Apple Pay. And we watch that, whether or not, people start sort of substituting or moving away from PayPal over to alternative checkout buttons. We haven't seen it affect PayPal yet, but it's certainly the thing we keep a very close eye on.
Sure. It's amazing to me that the fees are as high as they are. I think if I read correctly, PayPal was going to charge now 3.5% to some businesses, which seems exorbitant. I don't understand, in a world where we have a proliferation of payment processors, why these fees aren't going the opposite way. I mean, why are businesses paying anything more than a couple tenths of a percent?
Yeah, that fee, I mean, that's like the headline number that really only applies to about 10 or 15% of their merchants, which are very small merchants. And the main thing those merchants are paying for is a payment guarantee. The key thing PayPal does is
Joshua Elsmore says, we got an order for more money.
They guarantee payment to that merchant. And so if there's a chargeback later or some fraud issue or something like that, the merchant is not liable for that.
Josh, gotta lay some carpet. Have a good day, apes.
For small businesses who are very subject to.
I said I was gonna take more Tylenol, but then I read the instructions and I've already taken too much. I've already taken the maximum amount, so I'm not gonna take too much. I'm very responsible.
Small merchants, because many consumers are very wary of entering their credit card or debit card credentials directly into a small merchant's website. So honestly, PayPal has demonstrated that between the merchant guarantee and then the conversion rates that they get, that it is well worth it for that small merchant to pay that 3.5%. On the other hand, though, that is really just those small merchants. I mean, if we're talking about the PayPal checkout button on Macy's.com or something, they're paying a much, much lower rate.
It's a great explanation. And as we watch now,
nice clean break over the VWAP.
Build rival technologies that are, as good and quick as this one. It's fascinating to learn about how they're doing this all over again. Lisa, we'll leave it there for now. We know you have to go get ready for the call. We appreciate it.
Shop. Shepard Smith here. That's how I expect his actual voice to sound. Hello. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Alright, let me drink this. %3.5%. People are like, what? What the heck? A Rooney with cheese? All right, no spamming. You made a great point. Issue that Facebook is an expectations correction. Jerome Powell was all over the place yesterday. Let's see which of these had the biggest news. There will be inflation. Okay, here's him saying there will be inflation.
I think of you as somebody who so lucidly explained policies and programs in recent months and made a real concerted effort to explain them to the American public as a whole. I wonder about this term and what you would say to people who don't know it definitionally, don't know what it means, and see prices going up and wonder how long they're going to have to wait. So just some broader definition from you, I'd like to hear just about what it means or how you understand it. And quickly as well, you've talked about vaccines a bit, and your colleague in Minneapolis has placed a mandate on that.
I thought I would get extra sleep yesterday, but I am so tired I'm about to pass out. It's crazy.
See system-wide going forward.
The concept of transitory is really this. It is that the increases will happen. We're not saying they will reverse. That's not what transitory means. It means that the increases in prices will happen. So there will be inflation, but that the process of inflation will stop, so that there won't be further. When we think of inflation, we really think of inflation going up year upon year upon year upon year. That's inflation. When you have inflation for 12 months or whatever it may be, I'm just taking an example and not making an estimate, then you have a price increase, but you don't have an inflation process. And so part of that just is that if it doesn't affect longer term inflation expectations, then it's very likely not to affect the process of inflation going forward. So what I mean by transitory is just something that doesn't leave a permanent mark on the inflation process. Again, I don't mean that producers are going to take those price increases back. That's not the idea. It's just that they won't go on indefinitely. So to the extent people are implementing price increases because raw materials are going up or labor costs or something's going up, the question really for inflation really is, does that mean they're going to go up the next year by the same amount? So you're going to be in a process where the inflation process gets going, and that happens because people's expectations about future inflation move up, and we don't think that's happening. There's no evidence that it's happening. All the evidence is that it's not happening. But nonetheless, we have to watch this very carefully, because this is, we have two mandates: maximum employment and price stability. Price stability for us means inflation averaging 2% over time, and so we've got to be very careful about that. But I think it's a good point that it's a term. What it really means is temporary. But then you got to understand that it doesn't mean that the increases will be taken back. Some of them will be, but that's not really what it means. In terms of, so we're working virtually here, and we'll be coming back down the road in a couple of months, starting to bring people back here at the Board of Governors in Washington. And, we're going to follow public health guidance and things like that. We really haven't made the fundamental decisions about exactly what that will look like. And it'll depend to some extent on what CDC guidance looks like when we actually do bring people back in.
Shepard Smith here.
Okay. To the ship. The Shappy. Fed signal tapering is coming soon. This is his opening statement, I think.
At the Federal Reserve, we are strongly committed to achieving the monetary policy goals that
So this is what you guys missed yesterday, because I was sick. Let's take a listen.
Congress has given us: maximum employment and price stability. Today, the Federal Open Market Committee kept interest rates near zero and maintained our asset purchases. These measures, along with our strong guidance on interest rates and on our balance sheet, will ensure that monetary policy will continue to support the economy until the recovery is complete. Progress in vaccinations and unprecedented fiscal policy actions are also providing strong support to the recovery. Indicators of economic activity and employment have continued to strengthen, and real GDP this year appears to be on track to post its fastest rate of increase in decades. Much of this rapid growth reflects the continued bounce back in activity from depressed levels. The sectors most adversely affected by the pandemic have shown improvement, but have not fully recovered. Household spending is rising at an especially rapid pace, boosted by the ongoing reopening of the economy and ongoing policy support. The housing sector remains very strong, and business investment is increasing at a solid pace. In some industries, near-term supply constraints are restraining activity. These constraints are particularly acute in the motor vehicle industry, where worldwide shortages of semiconductors have sharply curtailed production so far this year. As with overall economic activity, conditions in the labor market have continued to improve. Demand for labor is very strong, and employment rose 850,000 in June, with the leisure and hospitality sector continuing to post notable gains. Nonetheless, the labor market has a ways to go. The unemployment rate in June was 5.9%, and this figure understates the shortfall in employment, particularly as participation in the labor market has not moved up from the low rates that have prevailed for most of the past year. Factors related to the pandemic, such as caregiving needs, ongoing fears of the virus, and unemployment insurance payments, appear to be weighing on employment growth. These factors should wane in coming months, leading to strong gains in employment. The economic downturn has not fallen equally on all Americans, and those least able to shoulder the burden have been hardest hit. In particular, despite progress, joblessness continues to fall disproportionately on lower-wage workers in the service sector and on African Americans and Hispanics. Inflation has increased notably and will likely remain elevated in coming months before moderating. As the economy continues to reopen and spending...
So, Mr. Jerome Powell talking about how the economy reopening is on the menu. If you guys didn't have a chance to take a look at what we were pointing to in the early morning, it's the Robinhood pretty scary disaster. They are not registered with FINRA, and that causes even Kramer to talk about it. He said this is one of the toughest one I've ever seen. It's about a minute long. I think you guys can handle it. Take a listen.
This is the toughest one I've ever seen, Andrew.
Of course.
I think that there are a lot of retail investors who, if the stock breaks the print, I think don't have more money to be able to buy.
You know what? I don't think you guys can handle more Kramer today. We'll just watch the one where they talk about the CNBC FINRA Robinhood issue, so that we explain to those coming in what's going on here. So that's Robinhood assessing a $70 million fine, and now the IPO is coming under scrutiny. Hold on a second. FINRA. What's going on, ducks? Throw those ducks in the chat, and ducks, throw those likes down in the description. Robinhood starts trading this week. Many Reddit investors are not interested. Makes sense. Okay, is this it? Yeah, I think this might be it. So this is the $70 million penalty for Robinhood at FINRA. Obviously, they're not friends.
Getting some breaking news, FINRA has announced a fine against trading platform Robinhood. Kate Rooney has details. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Carl. Good morning. Robinhood
This is from last month, right around the beginning of July.
reaching a settlement this morning with one of its regulators, FINRA. The total fine here for Robinhood, $70 million, $57 million of that was the fine, and about $13 million of that is going to restitution to, quote, thousands of harmed customers, as FINRA put it. This had to do with Robinhood's options trading practices and outages from March of last year.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it said March, but January is the one that we're pretty upset about. What's up, Smuggler Joker? Sorry we're late. Can we get a shout out to Meatball, Sana, and Big Ants? Sure. Welcome Duck, says Jessa. Much love to you guys. Krimmer as well. Are we long on peaches or nectarines? Yo, we get those peaches out in Georgia. That's that's all I know.
FINRA
Take a look. Listen, we're gonna cover the many caveats. It's a listicle. It's top 3 awkward moments between Robinhood and FINRA, in which FINRA just under a month ago had fined a record-breaking 70 million penalty. Just now, seems like on the eve of their, not the eve, the day of my daughter's wedding, the day of their IPO, they have not been registered correctly with FINRA, the CEO of which is an outlier because it seems like every other one of his competitors are registered with FINRA. So let's take a listen to this, which is going to be about 60 more seconds, and then we'll take a listen to exactly what he did wrong with FINRA this time.
And outages from March of last year. FINRA mentions those outages. They talk about customer service issues, sends, quote, a clear message to all of its member firms that they have to comply with the brokerage industry rules. And guys, a little bit of context here. Robinhood had set aside some money for this, about $26 million in preparations for a fine. They disclosed this back in March that this was coming. Today's fine, roughly double or more than double what they had forecast. And Robinhood is neither admitting or denying allegations. I do have a statement here from Robinhood. They say, quote, Robinhood has invested heavily in improving platform stability, enhancing our educational resources, and building out our customer support and legal and compliance teams. They say we are glad to put this matter behind us. We look forward to continuing our focus on customers and democratizing finance for all. And guys, this is not the first FINRA fine for Robinhood. The startup was dinged back in 2019 for violating, not the first FINRA fine for Robinhood. The startup was dinged back in 2019 for violating best execution. The company is expected to file IPO paperwork soon. Some of these FINRA settlements and regulatory issues had been a big overhang, and at least with one regulator, FINRA here, the path appears to be cleared for an IPO. Company has been a huge beneficiary of this retail boom. We'll hopefully have more on that IPO soon in the coming weeks.
Okay, so, and now is the coming weeks. Hold on. Don't get ahead of me. Now
payments and high growth tech things.
Now it is the coming week, and now we have an explanation of what's going on here.
Hey, Andrew, well, we knew it was coming. This is the price range, offering size and valuation for Robinhood in terms of its marketing that it's seeking as it begins its roadshow. Today, the company filed an amended S1 showing that it's looking to sell shares between $38 and $42 each, 55 million shares total, for an offering size at the high end of that range of about $2.3 billion. Now, in terms of its market cap, at that $42 per share high end of the range, the company is seeking $35 billion market cap in this IPO. Now, it was reported they had been expecting a valuation of about $40 billion here. Their last private market valuation was $11.7 billion raised last September. We are expecting a listing next week. If you recall, those roadshows have been compressed now that they can be mostly virtual at this point in time. And also in today's amended filing, we're seeing some updated financials for the first half of the year. The company reporting estimates for revenue as low as 546, as high as 574 million for the quarter ended June 30th. And then they're also showing an update for their net cumulative funded accounts at 22.5 million at this point in time. So a lot to parse through with this amended filing. We will bring you any more details as we get them, guys.
So we are coming down. Let me just find that freaking Robinhood IPO news. Okay, I think it is actually this one. Robinhood value at 32 after selling shares in IPO at $38 per share. They're valued at $32 billion. Here's that scandal. Why does it take so long to get to the video? Here it is. Take a look at the live charting we're doing for AMC over
As
the
it
right
brings us
side.
to another highly anticipated IPO. Robinhood at prices tonight, begins trading tomorrow. Leslie Picker always following the money for us, as she is here once again. What can we expect, Leslie Picker?
Hey, Scott, we took a look at some of the biggest deals of 2021, and it's clear that bigger isn't always better here, at least when it comes to these deals this year. Now, tomorrow we'll find out if Robinhood, which is expected to raise $2.2 billion at the midpoint of its marketed range, faces a similar fate. Here's the performance since the debuts of the 6 IPOs that raised more than $2 billion through IPOs in the U.S. this year. Now, Didi has performed the worst, thanks largely to that idiosyncratic risk from a Chinese regulatory probe, but Coupang, Bumble, Shoals, Playtika, all down double-digit percentages as well. Now, the Renaissance IPO ETF of recent deals, all sizes, down more than 5% this year and lower by 19% from its February highs, although you can see up about 3.5% today, getting a nice boost there. Now, to investors in these deals, potentially others, it may signal that the market is having a harder time digesting bigger deals. It may deter them from buying more IPOs if they're underwater in prior ones. Plus, there's been an enormous supply glut this year thanks to so much equity issuance, the biggest in 16 years. Many of those years actually showed the market shrinking. We'll see if Robinhood can break the 2021 curse that has befallen the multi-billion-dollar deals this year, Scott.
What are we to make of this report, Leslie, which I'm sure you saw as well, that the CEO, Vlad Tenev, is not licensed by FINRA? Investors are just learning this. Does it matter? Is it a big deal or not?
I mean, I think the only thing that would really be material to the stock is if it meant he weren't going to be CEO. It's unclear that that would really happen. The fact that FINRA is looking into his licensing, theoretically, what they could do is say, after this investigation, we believe you should be licensed based on your day-to-day role at this company. It really depends on really how involved he is in providing investment advice and his role within the company. There are certain CEOs of brokerage firms that don't have FINRA licenses, others do. It really just depends on what that CEO does on a day-to-day basis. But theoretically, FINRA could say, we do believe you should be licensed, and then he would get licensed. I don't see this as being something that would actually cause him to lose his job.
That's how it's getting to. Get licensed. Okay, I can try. Breakout above this downtrend right here. AMC had one similar one that was able to break us out over that 38.50 level of resistance earlier, and now we're breaking out once again. This could be an attempt to try to take 40, but that's why we got the magnet. All right, put those magnets a little closer. Blazer Dave says, I would love to get my 12-year-old interested. If I knew or even exposed to investing when I was younger, things would have been much different. That's the value of money. That's the time value of money. All right? That's the key deal right there. So those of you that have asked in the past, right, how to stay in touch, how to be able to learn a little bit more about like what the goal of this channel is, there are some Google forms down below. If you guys wanted to be able to drop your email, talk about a goal of yours, right? It's a good opportunity to be able to share a little bit about what you are hoping to do if you had a platform and a place to talk about it. So wanted to be able to shout that out in case you wanted to be able to jump on in. Again, I don't talk about it very often, but this is the last time I will speak about it for this stream until the end. Hey, if you wouldn't mind smashing that like while you guys are here, trying to get that like all the way up to the 4,000 people that are currently in this stream. It does change the algorithm. It gets more Moon Platoon members in here. It changes the perception of how apes are seen in the mainstream media by promoting us in the algorithm, and it's entirely free. That's a discount. That's a major discount right there. Ascending bottom trend line here. You could connect these last two downtrends here with an ascending support. When you do that, you're starting to build. You can argue that this was part flag. It only has 1, 2, 3. It has 3 confirmation points, so that's pretty close. But the only reason I'm hesitant is that this flag pole is non-substantial, and the breakout was also pretty non-substantial. Big midday gain, midday grind. Alice is right. Robinhood is trading at 38 today. Vlad would look good in prison with a sundress on. Uh-oh, Bart. Bart has some thoughts about sundresses. Let's see. Seng Chinho says, how could a company breach such rules and so many rules and yet is allowed a ton of publicity listed in the exchange? Absurd. Absurd. That is now the battle cry of the apes. That's absurd. Hey, Clay Clayton, welcome to the Mo Monkeys. Glad that you just joined us as a member of that Moon Platoon. Happy to have you in here. Let's see, Ben coming in and say good morning. All right, currently in the cradle, tracking this uptrend of these supports, broke that downtrend for that resistance here. What a cutie pie. Has his rocket ears up, ready to take us a battle to the moon. Zachary, I think you might be asking way to take puts on Robinhood. Yeah, that's financial advice. I'm sorry, I cannot give any. Average Rob 808 says on the 4-hour and pullback do you see a wedge flag bottom May 24th at 4 p.m. talk 7262? May 24th at 4 p.m. Wedge bottoms. I'm going to go all the way out to the daily chart. Average Rob, you're really going to make me have to put on my thinking toboggan. All right, 7232. There is a potential wedge with May 24th all the way down here. This is so from the 24th to 7262, all I see is up. All right, so I'm wondering, where do you see the flag or the wedge? Or do you mean the symbol right before is a flag or a wedge? Okay, we can go back and take a look at that. Oh, how long does it take before puts to become available? Pretty quickly. I can only imagine that as soon as the listing is complete, that there is going to be a ton of people that wants to sell puts because they're bullish. So that means that it's plenty of people that were willing to sell puts to you, who are willing to buy puts. Absurd, says Resort Dog. Finman says, I think the only saving grace to that Wall Street now relies on retail investments, and if AMC apes get screwed, it will have a catastrophic effect on our faith in the system. Chicken corn jelly. There he is. Okay. House committee live right now talking about PFOF. Okay. Is it really that kind of day? Are we talking about PFOF now? Payment for order flow? Oh, that's pretty fun though. Isa in the house. What's up? Andy A says, I am very confident they are shooting for another Great Depression like they did in the 20s and 40s in order to do another reset like they started in 1913 when they created. Each time you have a chance, it just ends up being wow. That's right. Heard my now 5-month-old ape son belly laugh for the first time yesterday. It was cracking me up. I'll send you to Twitter. Aw, thank you, Ben. That's really wholesome. Love to see that. Let's see if we can get a bounce off of this uptrend. Is this it? Hybrid markup?
Payment for order flow.
Oh.
So it's certainly something that's on the gentleman's mind. And I can't help but ask why. If we know that payment for order flow has brought more market participants into the market, and it wasn't the driving factor in the GameStop situation from earlier, why we continue to beat down this road. And so, again,
it's the Hitman. It's Agent 47.
Balance. I think it's always smart to study first before you go into a rulemaking, especially on something like payment for order flow. It's a complex issue, and I think we all probably could.
Nate Winters, good to see you.
Understanding, and to rush into rulemaking or to do that prior to the study doesn't make sense to me. And so, with that, I yield back, and I thank the gentleman from Michigan for his amendment.
Gentleman yields back. Is it
now that's a haircut. Yeah, the guy's zero hair. That's a haircut.
Self for 5 minutes. I oppose
AMC going. Looks like as soon as we get this payment for order flow, House committee hearing right now, that's exactly what AMC's price action needs. A breakout from that uptrend, like I said, 39.11. That strong bounce. Definitely didn't expect to bounce this huge, pushing up 40 cents away from $40. Let's give it some rockets in the chat.
for costing is custom.
Jim Schultz says, I like your room, bro. Bro, I like your room. Which room are you in right now?
Mr. Sherman's bill will direct the SEC to study this issue and makes clear that the SEC can and should update its rules even before the end of its study, including banning such payments if warranted.
It's Mr. Clean.
Isaiah's amendment, however, would cut out items for the SEC to study. His amendment would prevent the SEC from studying whether form
Supreme Omelette says, why doesn't it make sense? That's it? The argument is, I don't make sense? LOL.
And risk of investment.
That's important to add. Otherwise, we're not making sense.
Related payments rather than study the full panoply of payments that are made. Doing so, we would be tying one hand behind the SEC's back and understanding the complexities of this issue. Relatedly, this amendment would strike the direction for the SEC to study how these payments affect.
GME also pushes up to $170.
Not want the SEC to better understand these issues. I would remind the gentleman from Michigan that the UK and Canada felt that such payments were not in the interest of their markets and banned them. This amendment is not an improvement and should be rejected. I yield back the balance of my time. Is there further debate?
Do they ever vote?
I withdraw my point of order. The question now occurs on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.
Do the noes really have it, or did she just go like? Did she even look up? There was just a really big no.
A recorded vote has been requested. All in favor of a recorded vote shall raise their hand and be counted.
Okay, finally.
There is a sufficient second and a recorded vote is so ordered. Pursuant to the chair's previous order, the vote on this question is postponed. Is there further discussion of or amendment to the bill? If there are no further amendments without objection, the previous question is ordered on HR 4616 pursuant to Section C5 of Committee Rule 3. Further proceedings on the pending amendments are postponed.
So this was an amendment on payment for order flow. I think it's done. Thank you. Wow, I think this is the first time that they have all been in one room since we've seen like 5 of their hearings.
2265, the Financial Exploitation Prevention Act of 2021. The clerk will report the bill.
Okay, wait, let's see if this is about naked short selling.
HR 2265, a bill to amend the Investment Company Act of 1940 to postpone the date of payment or satisfaction upon redemption of certain securities in the case of the financial exploitation of...
Without objection, the first reading of HR 2265 is dispensed with. The gentlewoman from Missouri, the sponsor of the bill, has an amendment in the nature of a substitute.
I didn't even hear what he said. She just stepped over him.
Also in the dais. The clerk will read the amendment.
Thank you.
Amendment in the nature
Here he goes.
to HR 2265.
She's going to read it again.
Mrs. Wagner of Missouri. Strike all after the enacting clause and insert the following.
Without objection, the amendment in the nature of a substitute will be considered as read and considered base text for purposes of further amendment. I now recognize the gentlewoman from Missouri, Ms. Wagner, for 5 minutes to explain the bill and her amendment.
Did she just keep canceling him?
Encourage my colleagues to support this important bill, HR 2265, the Financial Exploitation Prevention Act.
Okay, we're just trying to figure out if this is about naked shorting.
Population, financial exploitation of seniors, and other vulnerable...
Oh, never mind. Yeah, okay. So we're done with the payment for order flow section of the hearing, which means we're done with this. Hey guys, we'll be here about 30 minutes more, and I really do appreciate you guys spending the day with us, right? Being able to hop on. Tomorrow I'm going to start streaming at around 7:30, about half an hour before the Ducks show up, and I'll be going for about the same amount of time, right? About the same amount of time. But today I'm here for another 30 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, drop them. Otherwise, let's keep on talking about whether or not AMC will have a strong bounce right here at 39.27, and when we'll be able to see $40 again. That last bounce coming off of this intraday flag is look, you can see that this part is a flag. There's 2 confirmations, but this part is a pennant. But this pennant is not bullish because this pennant comes at the end of a significant downtrend, right? But this flag is bullish. That's actually a really good way to be able to explain that there is mixed patterns at times. You have a flag leading from an uptrend, right? And this, I would say, would be a well representation of an intraday flag. This one was a harder flag to read for sure because this uptrend relatively was smaller, but still had a breakout. As breakouts significantly smaller. But that said, those are the trade-offs when it comes down to reading a signal that may have too much false positive, right? A signal that has a good amount of false positives is like the double bottoms that we try to read, right? Every time you are tempted, especially on which time frame you're looking on the charts, to call a double bottom when that price action creates a fractal that brings it back to the same level that it bounced off of earlier. But you don't have a call, especially at that point is kind of the easiest trap to fall into, trying to call a double bottom before the pattern's fully fleshed out. Easy to be able to mistake just a simple fractal, which is how Elliott wave theory works and how almost the entire psychology of the stock market works. Oh man. Jonathan White says, stay healthy. Heck yeah. Brandon Badberg says, can you talk about the potential disaster with the housing market, with the mortgages going to be delinquent, with the mortgage deferment ending and requiring those payments up front? If that causes a market crash because of the lack of forgiveness, that would be a interesting blast from the recent-ish past. But at the same time, understanding that you're likely not going to see a domino effect of that caliber, especially with the months of planning that has been put into rolling back these policies. They understand the winter is going to be a whole beast unto itself. Stu says, hey Mo, I was reading the FUD Times with Motley Fool, and the article highlighted huge discounts on the AMC Corp bond. Is this relevant? I don't think so. AMC wants money, right? This is about bonds, right? AMC wants money, and they want it in one way or another. Let's see. Well, I can look more into that. It's a good question. Resort Dog says, got something that produces money regularly going despite your planned ascension to the throne of Lambo. Yeah. The throne of Lambo. People looking at Ortex had its short interest for AMC rise to 15.44%. So this is one of the first times that we've seen almost 80 mil for a couple of weeks now. Weeks before that, we had 100 million that had a exchange reported correction. Tight the pant, hold the line to moon, says Huang Mai. Tight the pant. You silly lily livers. Hold on. Tight the pant, hold the line. I love that. Let's see. Let's see if we can push this down. AMC still 40 cents until it breaks through. GME has already broken through its resistance at 170.42. And now it has to decide whether or not it can have that momentum stay part of itself, stay in there. Frodo says, Andrew, the magnet is working. Brian Carpenter says moon time. Come on, buddy, moon time. It's moon time. Jorge says socks first, then pants. How dare you? How dare you? JMS shares, have a great day. Andy A says, come on, Hedgies, resistance if futile, the ape nation rises. Let's see. Anyone need tight pants? Come on, Frog Universe. We're tight pants together. Okay. Within 2 days, many big candles appeared. Tell apes what? To the moon. Tell apes what? Come on. Within 2 days from 2 days ago. I'm starting to love these comments. Clay in 89. Hypothetically, if there's a billion naked shorts, please explain in detail why they would have all to be bought back if they are hidden and illegal. Hidden, right, is kind of like when you do crime in the woods that is hidden because you didn't report it to anyone. You didn't call 911. Therefore, nobody was listening actively when you hid the activity that you're doing. Shorting, right? Naked is the sense of hiding, and that's kind of like dodging. Very similar things like tax dodging, right? Regulation dodging. You're dodging the government from trying to get a good insight into what you're actually trying to do. So naked shorting is different from the idea of like hidden shorts. They're hidden because shorting is a self-documented metric. So that's currently how FINRA has it regulated. They might change that regulation in the future, but that's currently how it works. Friday feast day, says Fathy. Friday feast day. I don't know. I think AMC did okay yesterday. It was up for almost the entire day. NSCC. Oh man, AMC is just 15 cents away, whereas GME, so GME was hit yesterday while AMC was doing basically okay. So when GME dropped down to the 160s, now it's just time to recover. This feels familiar. Okay. Andrew is the man making the leaps here. One green candle. Alex Stufer 010 is a video that I put out, is the most recent video that I just put out. So go check out the channel. You'll be able to see the video about 010. Also otherwise known as NSCC 10. Russ L says, you're allowed to do a little bit of crime as long as you let us know so we can cover for you and make sure you or a bunch of you don't screw everything up for the nice normal folk and we get a cut. Talking about the government kickbacks. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. Danny Yee says, come on, do my photo da moon. Perfect. Nailed it first try. Almost 4,000 views, almost 2,000 likes. I appreciate that. I like it when the math makes sense. Meatball, what are you doing over there? Okie dokie. Guillermo says, I feel like being in this channel, I feel like I'm listening to a wise celestial being. So nice. That's going straight in the collage. That's very nice to say. Ivy Creek says, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I am Willie. I just swore in Viet. Oh no. This is the end of me. $40? $40. Done deal. $40 has been breached again. AMC has re-challenged that $40 threshold right there. Make it a little easier for you guys to see. Nice little cup. I think this is coming off of a pretty clear and compelling double bottom. Always easier in retrospect. There's that downtrend. There's that topper right there. Both at the 38.51s. That's the number to watch for the day, because anywhere we double bottom is going to be a hot zone for a recovery any time we come back to it. And we are going to come back most likely towards 1 more hour before power hour starts. Peter says, well, greetings from Denmark. What's up, Danes? Where are my Danishmen? Gotta turn on the shower. We have to turn on the shower. Hold on. Shower magnet. Just come on. Perfect. Put that price action right there. I think this is exactly what AMC needs right now. Greetings from rainy Toronto. Michelle M, thanks for the super. Boom. NDA says, I wonder how much Pedo Bismo SHFs are going through these days. Whose stock is Pipto in? Will Newman says, thank you so much for being patient and taking the time to teach us new traders and apes. I already learned a lot from watching you the last 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to learn so much more. If you guys are like, Will, hey, we're right up to about 120,000 subscribers. Would be amazing if you guys come along for your financial journey. And it's a fun little thing that we call following the data. Data is king. When are the shower power party invites being sent? You guys have to buy your tickets. Remember, the only way to buy. Okay, we're not doing this trick. We're not doing this fun meme today. Not only are you positive, but you're hilarious, says Jeremy. Jeremy. Ah, that's right. That's the Mr. Rogers of Stonks talking here. Instead of rain, we should put bananas. Now that would look very different. I think I would be bad at drawing that. These showers all look the same here. Giovanni says, let's send those likes to the moon, guys. My man needs some love for the love of Meatball. For the love of Meatball. Give him the head scratch that he deserves. What a good boy. What a good boy. Good job, Meatball. I believed in him. He was the best boy we had. And Dave's like, I still haven't found the right Venmo to send that money, Andrew. It's getting expensive. It's Andrew Coin, like Dogecoin. Yeah, Andrew Coin on Venmo. You can always make one-time donations on PayPal. PayPal.me AndrewCoin /AndrewCoin or Venmo.com /AndrewCoin. All right. Frog Universe says, I would like the video twice if it would let me. Let's do a meatball trick at 2,000 likes. I'm here for about 17 more minutes. If we can get 2,000 likes by then, we'll do a meatball trick. It's gonna be really fun. He's really good. He's really tricky. He does it for treats, but he loves the trick. It's a proctology gamble. Huh? Proctology. We used to, hold on a second. Cup and handle. Remember, intraday cup and handles classically are not what you think they are. But there's a potential that we do bounce off of the simple moving average. It's the only indicator that's coming up right now. Seth Hyde says, Mo Money Moon Platoon apes in Wisconsin are smashing that like. Do. Tell us a story of why Meatball. If you spend any time with Meatball, he will curl up in a very, very tight little ball. Because he's just I don't know, I think thinks he's a small dog, even though he's quite long. So it's very funny looking. That's why he's a meatball. It's because he stole meatballs. Let's take a look at Lux. I think this might be a buy now. Yep, that's a strong buy. We only had a small stint of a strong sell, but now we have a strong buy for AMC. This is the way it should be. All right. So I'm going to give you 2 more minutes of Mr. Powell. This is his opening. Hold on, wait. Is this his opening statement? Yeah. This is his opening statement from yesterday. I want to do like 60 seconds of this.
Rebounds, we are seeing upward pressure on prices, particularly because supply bottlenecks in some sectors have limited how quickly production can respond in the near term. These bottleneck effects have been larger than anticipated, but as these transitory supply effects abate, inflation is expected to drop back toward our longer-run goal. Very low readings from early in the pandemic, as well as the pass-through of past increases in oil prices to consumer energy prices, also contribute to the increase, although these base effects and energy effects are receding. The process of reopening the economy is unprecedented, as was the shutdown at the onset of the pandemic. As the reopening continues, bottlenecks, hiring difficulties, and other constraints could continue to limit how quickly supply can adjust, raising the possibility that inflation could turn out to be higher and more persistent than we expect. Our new framework for monetary policy emphasizes the importance of having well-anchored inflation expectations, both to foster price stability and to enhance our ability to promote our broad-based and inclusive maximum employment goal. Indicators of long-term inflation expectations appear broadly consistent with our longer-run inflation goal of 2%. If we saw signs that the path of inflation or longer-term inflation expectations were moving materially and persistently beyond levels consistent with our goal, we'd be prepared to adjust the stance of policy. The effects of the pandemic on the economy have continued to diminish, but risks to the economic outlook remain. Progress on vaccinations has limited the spread of COVID-19. However, the pace of vaccinations has slowed, and the Delta strain of the virus is spreading quickly in some areas. Continued progress on vaccination.
Okay. So as he talks more about coronavirus, I think the point of the matter is getting a sense from the Jay Powell himself about how the market is faring. SMA is near vertical on AMC. I mean, it's a 45-degree angle, but yeah, close as you can get to verticality. Let's get the RSI back here to see how overbought we might be. Not quite, actually, not that overbought. So in AMC, you can take a look at the bottom graph next to my cartoon face. And take a look at how the momentum could switch from bullish to bearish and vice versa. That's that right here. Witness, says Dave Blazer. Blazer Dave. Robert says, hyperactive drive to ludicrous speed. Seth Ide. We see you taking pulls from a pint glass cup without a handle, lol. Sick, huh? Wisconsin peeps know what's up. Too many brewskis last night. Now, hair of the dog meatball today? No more long nights, Mo. We need you, lol. Thank you, Seth. What a comment. I'm not gonna forget that we had this beautiful poem by Seth. Here you go, bud. Try provoked, I appreciate it. There you go. Oh, can you not drool on me? 10 cents away. George V says, this kind of videos are usually shown in movies in aftermath of alien attack or some other major catastrophe. Alex says, I don't see a strong buy on my Lux Algo. So here's what you do. If your Lux Algo is not on the minute chart, then you're not going to have a strong buy. Maybe, I don't know. If your Lux Algo is not, if you double click on any of these indicators, you'll get the settings. If your Lux Algo is not on autopilot, right, then you might not get the buy signal. Those are two troubleshoots. Gabe's like, I understood all of that. Chad Robs, I misspoke. I'm just taking some Tylenol. But since I don't take like almost anything, I'm just like, what do? They relieve pain. I'll call them pain pills. How's Andrew? Says Dave. How's the new job? Thanks, Dave. It's good. Having a good time. It's the best of both worlds. Hanging out with the crowd, then I rock out the crowd. Can't remember. Liz Nicholson, thank you so much. The trick, Mr. Potter, is not minding that it hurts. That it hurts. Yes, my Lux Algo link provides an additional 20% off. It is with the code AndrewMoMoney at checkout. Can we get a new flag to work off of? Okay. This might be the beginning of something. It's not currently doing anything yet. Why is short interest going up so much? It seems like there is a concerted effort to try and keep AMC lower, especially right before the earnings call. The annual meeting, but I'm surprised today that AMC is actually doing fairly okay, getting up to $40. That's the trick here. Beautiful. How do I get the Lux Algo, says Andre Moore. It is in the pinned chat, so go up into the blue part of your chat and you will see the link. Hold on, can I do this? Whoa. So you would go over here to this the blue part of this chat, and then you'll be able to click on this link and get 20% off with the code AndrewMoMoney. Bloody hell. Jim Salad Ears says, no idea what's going on, but cute doggy on graph. Yeah, that's true. Cute doggy in real life. He's sleeping away. He's sleeping up a storm. Oh man. So, boy am I glad that you guys were here. Boy am I glad. I'm wondering if you guys would like to see some designer gear. So I want to be able to start talking about starting maybe even like an ape like clothing brand, because that would be really cool. But if you go to andrewmomoney.com, first shout out. I need to make an HP broom instead of a rocket. Average Rob, you're absolutely right. So this is andrewmomoney.com. All right, it's in the description down below. You can essentially tell me a couple of things. What I want you to do is don't leave it in the live chat. After this video has a comment section, which is going to happen after this live stream is over. Tell me which one of these products is your favorite, okay? I'm going to pick one of your comments on this video, not the live chat. Pick one of your comments in here in the future live stream. We're going to give you guys one of these free pieces of gear, but I want to be able to ask you guys what you want to see. Also, speaking of what you want to see, which tool is your favorite, right? We have Ortex here, that's in the link in the description. We have option Sonar here, right? That gives you a look into the options chain. We also have the Lux Algo here. It gives you the buy and sell signals. And once again, it's midweek on this, possibly our last week with with 20% off Andrew Mo Money at checkout. And then finally, we have a question for the members. What kind of perks do you want to see? Right? What kind of engagement do you want to hear? How do you guys want to be able to get access not only to the six-figure portfolio, but also more strategic like examples of success in the past? Right? What do you guys want to see in terms of the membership? We want to hear from you. All of this after the video has finished its live chat. Go and drop in the comment section of this video. All right. Thank you guys for watching, especially for those of you who have pressed that Patreon link. We are going to wrap up because Andrew is going to go to his day job. I hope that you guys had a fun time with us. We'll be here at 7:30 PST. That's going to be 10:30 EST tomorrow. If you guys forget, you better put it on your bell, right? Turn on that bell, turn on that subscribe button on our way up to 120,000 subscribers. Easy job to say, I love you guys. I hope that you guys have an excellent day, and we'll see all of you in the money. Peace. Boom. Ciao. Bam, bam. All right. See you guys.